Item number 9, communications from citizens signed or registered to speak. Constable Vela.
Give everybody a second to catch up here. Also, the community members that would like to come up, you're more than welcome to stand with us too if you like. Good morning, everyone. Again, my name is Constable Barrientes Vela, V-E-L-A, sir. Behind me is all my deputies that are currently with my office, including my second in command, third, fourth, and so forth. The fact is, I'm a woman with a voice and an individual who presents before you challenge. I don't believe in the good old boy system. I never have. I question the individuals before me, their integrity. I challenge them. I challenge their actions at times. I challenge their ability to make a decision pertaining to our constituents' choice, not their personal choices. I don't base mine on personal choices. I base mine on what my constituents have elected me to do, to be the voice of the community, to be the voice of the law enforcement, and to be the voice of reasoning. I actually got a hold of the newspaper this morning. I actually got a call from, I believe, Nelson Wolf's friend, Brian Chesnoff, yesterday. And so there was a comment made by Nelson Wolf, and it talks about behavior. I took office in 2017 as the first Hispanic female Bexar County Constable Precinct 2. That is history, whether it's acknowledged or not. Let's talk about behavior. Should we look at behavior? I've done nothing wrong. There have been several allegations against me because I keep voicing my concerns and my opinions for my constituents, for my community. I keep voicing to do the right thing, and I'll continue to do the right thing. And if that means that officers want to step before you and make allegations, then I have a right in court also. Behavior. We have jail standards that are being failed right now. That's behavior. We have elected officials that come out on camera for DWI. That's behavior. We have unethical decisions and unethical comments. That's behavior. We have individuals that sit before me whose parents have gone to prison, who I think should give everyone a fair opportunity afterwards, knowing what his father went through. I talk about discrimination all the time. In different cultures, there is discrimination that we fought for many years. And some of us continue to do that, whether it's race, whether it's a female standing before you. But I'm not going to stop fighting because I believe equality exists. It's due to a number of issues that have evolved out there with her, says Wolf. This is the latest and probably the most serious. Haven't had a day in court yet, sir, to prove my side of the story. These are allegations and connections to the newspaper. District attorneys are going to come before you here in a bit and pose to you that I've asked them for you to seek outside counsel and pay for the bill. That is untrue. I never asked them to do that. And that's on today's agenda. What I asked was that actually what I informed them was that I was going to go ahead and seek outside counsel because I did not want any politic influence in a decision that was made based on my representation. So I'm not asking you to pay for my legal bills. I can afford those. I've been very financial on my personal life outside my capacity of a constable. So money is not a question today. It's a principle of the fact of why I'm here today. We have individuals that have come out and said, constables squeeze money out of an individual at a park. Those actions never occurred. Let me explain exactly what occurred that day, since the newspaper wasn't quite clear on exactly what transpired that day. Previous days before that, I was contacted by Kim Montgomery asking for our office to provide law enforcement security on the day of Easter. They also gave us a rate of $38 an hour to be paid. We made accommodations to provide 4 officers, including myself, because I also have officers who have other side part-time jobs that they do outside their duties of the county underneath me. So I elected to go out and be one of those officers that day. $38 an hour comes out to $228 per each officer that worked the amount of hours for the whole park that day. However, everything was not free. The Parks and Recs went ahead and charged for the use of the pavilions. They actually even charged me for the use of one of them. Why do you ask that? Well, the hours that I was scheduled to work was from 7:15 in the morning to approximately 3:15 in the afternoon. For the rest of the day, I was going to be free, so I decided to share the rest of the day with my family there at Rodriguez Park and rent a pavilion myself. I paid initially over $107 and some change. The park manager approaches me the day of Sunday and says, Constable, I apologize, I made a mistake. Actually, we had already rented it, so I apologize. But I tell you what, we have a little kitchen right next to it. If you don't mind, would you be willing to go ahead and use that? I said, not a problem. That's not a problem. How much is it? Don't worry about paying, Constable. It's no big deal. Don't worry about paying. Well, you charge the other citizens. What makes me special that I don't have to pay? Give me the total amount, and I'll get it for you. And I did. It was $47 and some change, which I actually do have all the receipts to prove actually everything I'm stating here today, including documentation. The individuals that showed up to this pavilion, they actually got there approximately 10:30 in the morning. They say to roughly about 8:30 in the evening. They were informed by the Parks and Recs to contact my office because the commissioners, before, excluding Justin, because you weren't here at that time when I took office, informed them that I was in charge of the security at the time. Elizondo was involved at that moment. They were to contact my office when they rent pavilions under the Rodriguez Park. If they're going to have a certain amount of individuals, if there's going to be alcohol provided. At times, some individuals do not contact our office. At times, we go out to the park and we come across individuals that do have alcohol presented and are drinking large amount of alcohols. One of the requirements of Parks and Recs require us to be there on site with law enforcement security. That's exactly what happened that day. I moved my family over to the small kitchen area of the pavilion number 1. I informed individuals that I didn't know that they are actually on the list because I didn't receive them being on the list for law enforcement security for alcohol.
Constable, I'm going to ask if you can wrap up your time or we'll pass the 5 minutes.
Could you give me a few more minutes? Because I noticed that you gave several individuals before me a lot of time. So if you can bear with me, please. I'm just trying to state some facts here, and I think the commissioners will be willing to listen to that.
Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. All right. So, again, going back to the park. They began to drink. So we informed them that security was required at that point. Now, in the past, they've called my office, including probably Betty Boucher and Ken Montgomery. What are the prices? What are the fees? We've already been up front with the fees. On holidays, it is a $50 rate, depending on the holiday. Regular days, it's $40 an hour. However, that day, that individual was not charged $50 an hour. That individual was charged $25 an hour for each officer. Now, remember, I was clocked into work from 7 to 3. I had to sign out of my other job at 1 to go ahead and start providing security because ultimately the security at that park was handed over to me at the beginning when I took office. So on my part-time job, I checked out, and then I began security with the people who actually had alcohol at a later time, approximately a little after 1 o'clock, to approximately 7, give or take. So no one ever squeezed money out of anyone. What gives Mr. Reyes the right to not have paid security while every other individual before him had to pay for paid security when having alcohol? What's a privilege? We also have a Mike Olivares, I believe, correct me if I have his name wrong, from a Harlingdale Police Department, who I was told was friends with you. And this is why he had this position to try to step in to provide security. And I think this made an issue with you and probably perhaps him, Mr. Chico Rodriguez. Again, too, we've had that discussion over the phone, and I can prove that discussion. I have documentation where I provided and paid for the 2 officers for that day of security for the Easter event. Corporal Cordova, could you step up, please? Chief, could you step up, please? Including myself. These are 4 officers who provided the security on Easter on the 21st. I paid the 2 officers on the side out of my own personal money at your cost at $38 an hour. That comes out to $228 for the amount of officers they worked that day. It didn't come out of the county budget. It came out of my personal pocket. Chief donated his time at $38 an hour at $228. I donate my time at $38 an hour at $228 pertaining to the hours that we worked. When is that correction going to be made by Betty Boucher or Ken Montgomery? Neither one of them paid me. Neither one of them paid these officers behind me. Were they supposed to pay us? Yes, they were. On payday, I show up to pick up my checks. Checks are not ready. Well, how convenient is that when it's already been budgeted and the money should have already been there, correct? So where exactly did all that money go? I'm asking you, where did all that money go? I think my constituents have a right to know where that money's at right now, because it didn't come out of the county pocket. It came out of my pocket. I put on several events throughout the year out of my personal funds that has nothing to do with the county funds. I know there was a comment released about $90-something thousand in my pay. Actually, my pay is at $98,000 to be correct. Out of that $98,000, I spent several hundred and several $1,000s to put on events for my community that I don't budget or have budget for from the county. This includes Halloween events. This includes Christmas events, and I can keep going on and on and on. This also includes at times equipment for my officers, because I have purchased a bike for us too. I think you had said there was a problem with me buying a bike at one point in time. There's no problem when it comes out of my pocket. Behavior. Behavior is a strong word, and I think it needs to be readdressed. I've asked formally in the past, and I will continue to ask again and again and again, that you give my constituents the respect of who they voted into this office. You give them the opportunity to have the elected official of their choosing to run this office of what they need and want, and not based on personal opinion from the individuals that sit before me. The officials' duties of constables are to serve civil papers, provide bailiff support for justice of the peace in their precinct. Well, Justice Rodriguez, you were a state rep before, correct? Is that all we do? Is that a fair question to ask you? Is that the only thing we do as far as our duties? Because you should be well aware of the state laws. So am I correct in saying that that's not all the duties that we do, or we're mandated to do by law? Now, I know you're not going to answer that because you're among your colleagues, but I'll answer it for you. We are mandated by state law to act. Mandated by state law. We don't get the funding that we deserve as constables or deputy constables. We don't get the titles that we deserve. These individuals behind me are not recognized as law enforcement. They are law enforcement. They'll run out in danger when no one else can. They'll run out in danger, run towards it, because that's what we do. We don't question it. That's just something that's in each and every one of us behind me. I'm not your typical elected official. I will agree with you on that. I definitely will. But I will tell you, when there's a line of danger, you're going to see me running right there with these individuals behind me. You're not going to see me sitting in an office when I know my officers are out there on the front line at times and in the most dangerous situations. That is what a strong leader does. A strong leader in law enforcement shows guidance for his deputies or her deputies behind him. That I can say is true for my office, and my office only at this time. I think it's important at times as a law enforcement elected official that yes, we go on the front lines, but we also take care of the business inside the house, meaning that we also have work to do within our office that the constituent has elected us to do. We have responsibilities. We can't always be smiling at the cameras, and my constituents know that about me. That's why I was chosen. That's why I was elected. I was elected for change. I was elected for hope. I was elected to show individuals before me that possibilities can happen. I was elected to show the young youth that comes up behind us that no one at any time should stop them from their accomplishments. I'm not planning on going nowhere. Matter of fact, sometimes I think that the reason why I get a lot of repercussions is because I've stated maybe perhaps I'd like to run for sheriff. Maybe perhaps I would get a little closer. That's still in the air, because that is a possibility that could happen. That is a possibility with the hard work and dedication that I put in along with my constituents can become possible if I want it to, if they want it to. Because at the end of the day, this is not my office. This is the office of the people. We are the people's police. We're their voice. This is what the constables bring. We interact every day in the community, hands-on. We know what our constituents want from us. Yes, we're unique and we've been around for many of years, even before the sheriffs existed. So what I'm asking you today, and in prayer, as an individual that stood here before you that prayed earlier, truth. Think about that word, truth. I'm asking you to set aside your personal feelings for me, because it is personal. And we get back on track as elected officials and do the job we were elected to do what our constituents need and want, not on our personal views. Because I'm not going anywhere. And the day I decide to retire or not seek another seat doesn't mean that you won't see me standing here before you again, because that might be another avenue I choose to take. But I will tell you that if you ask the DA to seek to try to remove me, you should have facts, because there's going to be a lot of liabilities coming right after that. Go based on facts, not opinion. I'm going to end it because I know that my deputies, my chain of command would like to speak. But to let you know, I do have my son in the audience. Anthony Vela, could you please stand up, please? Wait, please. This is my son. This is the one that I'm going to tell him that hope exists even when there's so much negativity in front of you. Don't make it stop you. Because the only thing it makes you do, it makes you become stronger every day. It makes you see things that you know that you're capable of doing, and you're going to do it because you know you're in the right and you're doing the right thing with integrity, with honor, and with respect. Because my father would have asked you, sir, to take your hat off in court with respect. And I'm going to end it. Thank you for your time. Judge, I will say thank you for giving me the extra additional